Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Embodied Sounds podcast. My name is Joshua Sam Miller, musician, recording artist, and international facilitator. I'm here today with a good friend of mine from Tel Aviv, Israel. Her name is Inbal Etgar, and she has an incredible background as a breathwork facilitator, a designer, a mother, and just a really grounded human being who I had the pleasure of creating a track with about 2 years ago that takes you on a full journey within yourself through the practice of breath combined with supportive music. And we've both been very excited to share this recording with the world for the first time and want to give you a little insight on how it came to be. So without further ado, welcome Inbal to the podcast.
Thanks, Joshua. It's really good to be here.
So tell me a little bit about your experience as a breathwork facilitator and what really the practice of breathing means to you.
I try to give you the short answer. It could take a while.
Sounds good.
Well, I think in general, breath is life. It means everything to all of us. Because without it, we have no life. We have no voice. We have no circulation of thought, emotion. There is no movement of life force energy through us. And so breath is literally everything. And it is also air. It is seemingly nothing. And that's where the magic is. How something that feels so natural, sometimes even trivial, can hold endless potential for transformation and depth. And the more I learn about this practice, the more I deepen into my practice, the more I facilitate people's journeys, the more I understand how little I know, how little we know about this secret, the secret of breath. And it is really something that has enabled me to transform my life, my consciousness, my relationships, my presence, and ultimately my relationship to myself and the way I respond to every moment, the way I respond to things that happen in my life. And the way I got to it was through, like so many healers, through a dark night of the soul of my own, somewhere in 2015, where I fell into a very transformative period where a lot of old selves were being composted in service of my evolution. I don't know what else to call it. At the time, it was really uncomfortable. It was an inconvenient moment. But looking back, it was transformative and it was necessary. And I met many teachers and I've tried many modalities, as so many of us do. And one of my most meaningful paths was working with entheogens, which is plant medicine, working with master teachers. And this work has given me a lot of material. There are a lot of personal material surfaced. And I was in need of an integration practice. A way to bring all these teachings into my life, into the way I was living my life, not just in ceremony, but off the mat, in my home, in my relationships, in my work. And breathwork proved to be an amazing tool in doing that, because I was able to revisit these very intense moments that happen within the context of ceremonies, but revisit them in short chunks of half an hour, 20 minutes, and really drop down into that sensation and connect to the teaching, connect to the understanding, and allow it to further embody and work within me. And there was always another understanding on the other side of that session, a deeper level of clarity. And so that became my practice. That became the way in which I integrate all the teachings and all the aha moments and all the beautiful moments and all the heartbreak moments, all of it, because our lives are made of everything, right? It's everything, all the time, everything. It's a really coalescing and maturing, letting it work me. The breath work was my way of doing that. It was very accessible. And as soon as I realized how powerful it was, I wanted to share it. And that's where I embarked on this journey of becoming a breathwork facilitator.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing a bit of your early inspirations and how this path came into your life. I'm also a big fan of breathwork and have had many experiences where it's helped me release blockages that were no longer serving me. I'm curious if there's a particular moment for you that you can recall where you did feel that that power of the breath to help you perhaps release something or overcome something that was not really supportive of who you are and who you want to be. How has this practice helped you with that?
There are many moments. It's such a beautiful question. And so if I think back about the starred moments, because everyone has their best, the best list. And there's certainly, out of many, many journeys, breathwork journeys, there are a few up there that I still remember in vivid detail. And one of them, without going into too much detail, allowed me to integrate all of my past selves from birth, all the versions of me. So 1-year-old Inbal, and 2-year-old, and 5-year-old, and 9-year-old, and 16-year-old, and 18-year-old. And you know this as well as I do. Every year wounds us and heals us. Every year has its gifts and the things that it gives us and the things that it takes from us. Every year comes with its grief and its joy. And having done so much personal work, trauma work, healing work on myself for, at that point, it was about 4 or 5 years I was in it. I come to a point in a particular session where all these versions of me arrived home, came home. I could feel them coming back, returning. And they had left for all kinds of reasons. Why do we leave ourselves? Why do parts of ourselves leave? They leave because it's no longer safe to be home, to be in the body, right? All of us experience this, whether we're aware of it or not. But when that part comes home, we feel it. We feel it in our bones. It's a special moment. And in that journey, many of those parts came home. And if I wanted, I feel like I could create a whole movie about this. Just this one journey, these 25 minutes of breath. But obviously at that moment, I was an experienced breather, and I had background in journey work and in medicine work. And so I had a lot of tools that I was bringing with me to the practice. So I was able to go really, really deep with it.
Staying with this focus on breath work for a bit more in our conversation, what would you suggest to someone who has never tried it before and wants to bring a breathwork practice into their life, or maybe just try it one time and never do it again?
I think it's important to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the practice? There are so many different techniques. Some of them are very goal-oriented, very task-oriented. I want to feel more awake, so I will breathe in a certain pattern. I want to make myself sleepy, so I will breathe in a different pattern. There are patterns for down-regulating. There are patterns for activating. There are ways we can breathe that can control our metabolism. We can breathe ourselves into an orgasm. We can breathe ourselves into an expanded state of consciousness. So it's a question of, what do you want? What do you want to bring into your life? Because it's a tool. There are the physical components of the breath, which is the way we engage with our bodies, with our carbon-based, earth suits, lungs, diaphragm, mouth, just the way we activate the breath. Many of us aren't breathing fully because we're contracted. And so on a physical level, if we're stressed out and the diaphragm is tense, we're not breathing properly. And that's one of the largest muscles in our bodies, right? So think about it. Once you get the muscle to move, the diaphragm to move, and you breathe deeply and properly, everything is better. Everything changes. It's just that small change makes a huge difference. And then if you want to dive deep into the subconscious levels of your deepest secrets and knowings and your own mystery, then you can breathe. You can do circular breathing. You can do any number of very activating, consciousness expanding breathwork methods. And that's more of an emotional, spiritual experience. That's where we really aren't focused on what we're getting out of it in the achievement and the biohacking level. That's not what we're doing. We're actually surrendering. It's more of a meditation of surrender and softening into the heart and allowing the body to really release everything that it's holding. And it's holding a lot. So you can see these are the two very different spectrums of this practice. So figure out what you want to do, what you want to get out of it, and then do some research. There are amazing books out there about this. Just Breathe by Dan Brule is one of them. Breathe by James Nestor is another one. And there are many others. And educate yourself about this amazing tool. And once you do that, you'll get an idea of which practice works for you, might be suitable for what you need. And then start practicing. And play with yourself. At the end, ultimately, it's a tool for self-empowerment. And that's what's beautiful about it. The more you do it, the more you know yourself, the better you get.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, this is the Embodied Sounds podcast, and I'm a musician, so I have to ask, how has that other component of this process really supported you and allowed you to continue doing the great work that you're doing from a musical perspective, both in its properties tonally, being the music and the sound, and also rhythmically to support a breathwork practice? How has music and sound played a role in that journey for you?
They played, they are still playing a big role. I think that through this work, I've come to understand my voice on a deeper level, in a multidimensional level. I see the voice as the first instrument we are given, as literally the embodied sound of our lives. Our voice reflects our well-being and reflects our state of mind, our emotional state. For some, it's even telling things about how healthy or how unhealthy we are if you know how to listen. There are folks who can do that, which is amazing. For me personally, I realized that there was something that was very important to me that I stopped doing, which is singing at a very young age. Also, it was trauma related, and through the work that I was doing, I could trace the moment. I went quiet, and I could trace the moment where singing was no longer a joyful activity for me. It became something that I was using to over-criticize myself, and it promoted negative self-talk, and it created a lot of inner dialogue that was not helpful for me. And I stopped doing it. And I didn't sing for years, probably 20 years, maybe even more. And the more I healed myself, starting in 2015, the more I did the work, the more boulders I removed, from this channel, in my heart, the more my voice came back, the more I started singing, the more I realized how contracted I was. And it's almost, my voice has completely changed. The more I became embodied, the more parts of me returned, the more I understood myself. My voice changed. And it's not just the physical voice, it's the spiritual voice, it's the metaphysical voice, it's the metaphorical voice, right? It's how we say what we say and the essence of what we say, right? And that has just I felt like it's been developing inside of me these past few years. And when I first started studying sound healing, I was like, oh, these beautiful instruments and the bowls and the drums. And I was like a kid in a candy shop, and I wanted all of it. But in recent years, I've decided to focus on my voice specifically because that is where the journey started. And to this day, I consider it my best instrument. So I keep going back to the voice, and I love seeing women find their voice through this work. Remember who they are. Remember what it is they want to say, and giving themselves permission to sing their song in this lifetime. Whatever that song is, right? It can be anything. It can be a book. It can be an album. It can be a podcast. It can be anything. Just creation, being creative and allowing yourself to express yourself.
Wonderful, wonderful. And where can people interested to learn more about your work find you and get engaged with some of that vocal empowerment and guided breath work that you've so beautifully described?
Well, I have my website, which is sonoprana.com. You can find me on Instagram at sonoprana. If you are in Tel Aviv, you can come visit the clinic. There's one thing that I didn't mention, which is the combination of breath work and sound. And I think it's a nice way to kind of close the answer to that question, is that expression inside a session, within a session, is essential because there's a lot of energy that builds up in us. And mostly women, I'm bringing this back to women because I work with a lot of women, are very inhibited in the way they sound. There's the voice that they assume to navigate work situations and life situations. There's all kinds of high-pitch ways in which we feminize ourselves and give our power away. And it is amazing to watch a woman breathe and actually allow herself to really make a big, big sound through her voice. Something like primal and, I don't know, like it's like a roar or something, and it just comes out. It comes out, and you're like, yes, there she is, like, and connecting women to that primal voice inside of them, and really allowing themselves to sometimes you gotta let out a big scream or a yell because it's just been building inside of you for I don't know how many weeks or years even sometimes. And you'd be surprised, like they resist. They don't want to do it because they're afraid of the scream. They're afraid of that big sound. And once they do it, it's like they've shed a whole skin. And then there's another one, and then there's another one. And the more they do it, the more space they create within themselves. And to watch that happen is something. It's just something. And this is why I do this work, because I've done it for myself. And breath and sound, breath and voice, there is no voice without breath. There's no expression without proper breathing. And they're just so closely connected.
Thank you for doing this work. And this is a whole different conversation topic that I feel could be its own episode. But I feel called to ask you, how can men support that? How can we really allow for space for the type of female empowerment that you're bringing and birthing into the world by allowing so many women to free their voice? What can we be doing as the masculine to support that process?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. There's so many things. But you'd be surprised. It's not about doing it all. I think for men, it's about presence. It's about grounded presence. Sometimes you don't have to do anything. You just need to be there and be unfazed with anything that comes out at you. Because oftentimes it's not really personal. It's just stuff that needs to be witnessed. And so it's so liberating for a woman to know that there is a person who is strong enough and secure enough and grounded enough in themselves that, she can just express and say what she has to say and let that stuff out and yell and whatever needs to happen. And maybe there's no yelling. Maybe there's just laughing or dancing or saying things, whatever, right? We hold back so much because we are afraid that the other person won't be able to take it. We're afraid that they won't be able to hold that. And I think that prevents us from being in a truthful place with the people that are most important to us. So back to your question, just be there and communicate that nothing that she is going to say will change how you feel about her. And that's very reassuring. It's liberating.
Wonderful. Beautiful answer. Thank you. That's very helpful both for me and my relationship, and also hopefully for our listeners to bring that piece of healthy masculine feminine relation into this conversation around breathwork and sound, because ultimately I believe we're all here to raise the vibration of our reality and of our planet in whatever capacity we're able to. And doing this work brings up a lot of emotions, and to channel it into a healthy way of existing and of being, I think is really important. So yeah, I'm happy we could bring that piece into it. And I remember when we were creating this track together, it was a bit of a dance of that balance between our own masculine and feminine energies. Sometimes I was leading, sometimes you were leading, and really allowing us to develop this together as a true collaboration was, at that point in my musical journey, kind of a first, I think, real co-creation. So I do feel very proud that we were able to navigate some of that, dance together and create something that exists now, and we're going to share with the world.
I'm really glad we did it. I know it was an interesting dance at the time. I'm sure that if we approached it today, we would probably approach it differently. But it's beautiful to see, to hear, to listen to, and I'm so grateful that we were in the same time at the same place. Was it in Northern California at the time? And we're both in such different places now. And so it's like it was a moment in time that we captured.
Totally. What would you like people to know about our collaboration before they receive it? Any final thoughts?
I think that it has to do with how you and I met. We met at this workshop that was all about devotional singing. And I think ultimately this is about devotion to our spirit, devotion to this life, devotion to the breath. And I think in our case, it was devotion to creating something that it has meaning, that represents a very short journey, but also a portal into something much bigger. Beautiful,
beautiful. It was such a joy to create this with you, and you'll be hearing me play handpan on this track, which supports a breathwork practice of 7 minutes. I believe that was the duration. And it was just I'm so grateful I got to be a part of this co-creation, and really hope that our audience is able to go into a good place as they're listening to this and receiving this offering. So thank you so much for your time today and sharing a bit of your personal background and story with us, Inbal. It's such a treat to just see you and be here together from afar over Zoom.
It's so good to see you, and it's so good to talk to you. Thank you for inviting me tonight.
For everyone listening, this is Sono Prana by Inbal Etgar and Joshua Sam Miller.
Welcome to the Sono Prana meditation. My name is Inbal, and I will be your guide. This meditation is a blend of breathwork and sound, and I'm so happy to collaborate with my friend and fellow musician Joshua Sam Miller in creating this experience for you. Here are a few things that will support your experience: a cozy nest and 15 minutes to yourself, a blanket to keep yourself warm should your body temperature fluctuate, a pillow which you will use to yell into should you feel the need. You will practice the breath without a pillow under your head to keep your airways open. Headphones for an immersive experience, water, a journal and a pen, eye cover, and any other object that helps you feel supported. Most of all, it helps to relax and surrender to the experience. With that, I'll say breathe, let go, and enjoy. So go ahead and lay down in a comfortable position and just get yourself really cozy in a nest and lie back and notice the parts of your body that are touching the bed. Notice the back of your neck, the back of your body, and the pressure that's applied to your body by the floor. And notice where it is that your body is holding to tension. And if your mind is racing or busy, just thank it for its service and let it know that you are going to pay attention to your physical sensations for the next few minutes. This time is for you to connect with your body and connect with your breath. Now go ahead and put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your lower abdomen. The first part of the inhale will go to the lower abdomen. The second part of the inhale will go to the chest. So you can think of it as filling a vessel. You first fill it halfway at the bottom, and then you fill the top half until it's full with air. So it sounds like this. So your inhale is split into two, and your exhale is just a relaxed release of the air. It's going to sound like this. And if you're wondering if you're doing it right, just notice which hand rises first. Right hand on the lower belly will rise first, and the left hand on the heart will rise second. So whenever you feel like you've lost the rhythm, just go back to the belly, chest, exhale, belly, chest, exhale. So go ahead and start breathing. And we're going to engage in this active breath for the next 7 minutes. And with every exhale, feel yourself sinking deeper into the mat. Just let your breath relax you into the mat with every exhale. And it's okay if at first this pattern of breathing feels unnatural. It is intentional, and the more you focus on it, it will become a rhythm that will take you deeper into the felt sense of your body. That's right, keep breathing. Trust yourself, trust your body. Stay with your breath. Belly, chest, exhale. You might feel a little lightheaded at first. Stay with your breath. This will pass. Belly, chest, exhale. Sink into the breath. Exhale deeper into the mat. And notice where in your body there's resistance to this activity. And direct your breath to the place that feels tight or in resistance. That's right, slow and steady. Keep the beat. You might start to feel energy building up in your body. This is a part of the practice. Just give yourself permission to surrender to the breath and anything the body is bringing up for release. You might feel tears coming, welcome them with love. You might feel emotion welling up, welcome it with love. Allow it to move through you and release. Without judgment, without overanalyzing, just stay with the breath. Stay with the breath, that's right. Now take in about 10% more air with your inhale. Sink a little deeper with your exhale. And feel the life force energy moving through your body. And if you feel ready to vocalize anything that needs to be said or expressed through your voice, now is a good time to do it in the meditation. So maybe grab a pillow or a towel and just let it out. A good yell or a laugh or a growl, whatever wants to come out. No censorship, no judgment, just expression. And once you've expressed or vocalized, start breathing and bringing your breath into the space you've created in your body. Keep the breath going. There's about a minute more of this active breath. Feel the energy pulsing through your body. If your body is shaking, or if you're feeling a temperature change, this is normal. Just stay with your breath and allow the body to release. Now gently return to your regular breathing pattern. Just an inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And just very gently breathe. Focus on your body, your sensations. Give yourself a hug. touch yourself. You live in this body with your life force energy. And just expand into this state. Give yourself permission to enjoy it fully. And thank yourself for doing this work. Thank your body for carrying you. You've just completed 7 active minutes of breathwork meditation. And this is very creative, juicy energy, so you can dance or sing or paint or go for a walk or go to sleep. Anything that the body wants. Just remember to drink lots of water and breathe.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of our podcast. Once again, my name is Joshua Sam Miller. You can learn more about our project at embodiedsounds.com and check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Have a great day.